Come here. Get off.
Today we're talking to Christina C. Jones, pronouns she and her. Christina is a best-selling romance novelist and digital media creator. A timeless storyteller, she's lauded by readers for her ability to seamlessly weave the complexities of modern life into captivating tales of Black romance. In addition to her full-time writing career, she co-founded Girl Have You Read?, a popular digital platform that amplifies Black romance authors and their stories. Hey, Christina.
Hi, ladies. I'm
Hey, thanks for joining us.
very excited to be here. I listened to the interview with Alexandra, and when you guys asked me, I was like, "Oh yes."
Hey, yay. We like it.
We like the team that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
So again, thank you for joining us. Kenrya read your official bio, your
Fancy
your
pantsy.
fancy pants bio. But tell us what little Christina thought she wanted to do when she grew up.
Little Christina was very convinced that she wanted to be a teacher, and then Big Christina grew up and got a part-time job at a daycare, and she learned very fast that she actually does not like children. Like my own children are fine, you know. I wouldn't
Little
even say
Christina
that
was
I,
poorly informed.
yeah, I
She
wouldn't,
just needed more information.
yeah, I wouldn't even necessarily say that I don't like kids. I don't like being required to be around kids.
Mm-hmm.
But kids in general, are fun. But
Are
eh,
they?
yeah, they can be. I actually work in children's ministry at my church, and so like a couple of Sundays a month, like I watch the kids, like the
Mm-hmm.
smaller kids, and I have a good time with them. But it's for an hour at a time,
Yeah.
and I can send them
Send them
back to their
home.
mama.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very convinced that I wanted to be a teacher, and when I went to college, that was my intention. I was going to major in education. I got kicked out of college the first year because I was playing too much,
I was
and
about to say, you got to tell us why.
I'm
yeah,
I'm like, I know there's a story behind it.
I was playing too much with the grades, and there were money concerns and just
Mm.
a lot of stuff going on, and they were like, you don't have to come back, and so I did not.
That's real life.
And I actually, in 2014, as a mother of two kids and like super, super grown, I tried to go back to school and I did very, very well. But
Wow.
that stint actually ended in an anxiety attack. And I did not go back after that semester either. So I have a grand total of 3 semesters of college education.
And them 3 semesters can sit right on over there.
Right? Because you were kicking ass and taking names right now. So, you know,
And anxiety is not a game.
not a fun
Yeah, it
game.
was it was not. I had to go get on one of those things like you see on TV where they hook all the straps and stuff to your chest and put you on a treadmill because they thought I
Mm-hmm.
had a heart attack. And so it
Oh,
was it was a
girl.
lot. It was a lot. But I'm here.
Yeah, you are. And I
But
mean,
God.
it's interesting because I think people don't really, people use the word anxiety in a lot of really flippant ways without really understanding what that looks like for those of us. Because I have a generalized anxiety disorder. I walk around with that shit all day. And I went through that last year. It felt like my heart was skipping beats. I had an
Mhm.
arrhythmia. And so I had to wear a monitor for a few days and walk around with it always. Like I had this little lanyard that like hung it around my neck and it was all stuck
I
to
had to
me
hook mine
to
on my
see
belt.
so we could see when it was happening and what was triggering it and all of that stuff. It's not a game.
Yeah.
It's not a game. I get it because you worry about how it impacts the rest of your system. So I'm glad that you did what was best for you and left that shit alone.
And
Yeah.
as a parent, now that you recognize that, we're able to not keep our kids from going through it, but we're able to better
Give them tools.
see those
Give them
things and give them the
yeah.
tools that they need to work through that. So
Absolutely.
good shit all around.
Yeah. So then that leaves the question then, how did you get from there to here? Like, what's your writer origin story?
Oh, the very first stories that I just really vividly remember, like in terms of something for someone else to read, I had this green three prong folder that I would write. I wrote stories down in them on lined notebook paper, and I would share it with my friends, and everybody would pass it around. And I was passing people in the hall, hey, who has it right now? And I'm like, I don't know who has it. I got in a little bit of trouble for some of the content because at a very early age, like I had like Omar Tyree and Zayn pushed into my hands when I was like way, way, way super too young for that. And so I think some of that kind of bled over into what I was doing. But then for a while,
Ah,
like I said, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. And so I left it alone and I started getting into MySpace and just all of that stuff like that. And so I left it alone for a while and I didn't go back to it for a while because it was kind of like, that's not really serious. Um, there has always been like kind of this push for me growing up, do something that quote unquote makes sense. Like do something that's going to, you know, do something that's going to be towards you being able to get a job and, stuff like that. And so I kind of left it. But then got married, went through the college thing. That was before I got married. But then I got married, had kids, all of that. And with my pregnancies, and it was actually with both pregnancies, I got really, really sick, like to the point of almost having to be hospitalized because I couldn't even keep water down.
You had hyperemesis.
I did.
So did I. It's the
Yes.
worst thing I've ever
it,
encountered.
the
Worse
I
than
would
labor.
I would not wish it on
Nope.
anybody.
Motherfucking devil.
Yes. And I went through all the Zofran cream, and I have a whole other story about how the Zofran, they didn't even know back then that it actually causes birth defects. And so I was lucky enough that, that didn't happen. But
Same.
with that
And
said,
still worth it,
yeah,
honestly, for me.
well, it didn't even work for me.
Oh,
It did not work for me.
no.
I think if it had worked for me, I'd be a little more, like, okay, at
Yeah.
least it worked. But it didn't. It didn't work for me. But
Damn.
I needed something to kind of tether me to life, honestly, because there were moments, and like my family and stuff would be like, "Don't be dramatic about it." And I'm like, no, I literally thought I was going to die. Like, no exaggeration. And I needed something to kind of tether me to life, and so I started writing fan fiction. Oh, I skipped the whole B2K fan fiction section in college. Wait a minute.
ma'am,
I
we
skipped the
need
whole section.
all of that.
Details.
We need all of that.
I hate that I do not have those files anymore. Like, I think about that so often, like, because I feel like I had some really good stuff. Like, J Book was my main person. Nobody cared about Raspy. Fizz was okay, but I wasn't really into light skinned dudes. Book though? Yes,
Yo,
like that was
we have a girlfriend that loves B2K. So the moment you find those files, please make it a
I
turn on exclusive or something. We
I'm
gotta we
gonna
gotta see it.
I keep saying I'm gonna go back and try to get like access to some of my old email addresses because I feel like some of it has to be there, but then I always get distracted. But I'm gonna have to see if I can go back to that. But after the B2K fan fiction, there was actually a Criminal Minds fan fiction after that, and that was when I was pregnant with my baby. And then it was kind of like, well, I'm kind of I don't have an issue with fan fiction at all, but it was kind of like I'm using someone else's ideas to write something of my own. And so then I was ready, like, I'm not doing anything else. I may as well go ahead and work through some of my own ideas. And so that was how I came to kind of start writing. And I got connected. I can't remember. Like I was mommy blogging and stuff from my first pregnancy. And so I feel like that is how I got in touch with the writers group that I was connected with at that time. It was maybe 5 or 6 other Black women who all wanted to write. I got connected with them, and just through being connected to that group, it kind of gave me the energy to actually finish something. And I finished it, and then I was like, well, I'm a Christian, so I need to take all the sex scenes out of it. So I took all the sex scenes out of it, and then I was like, wait a minute, I didn't feel like convicted or anything about putting the sex scenes in. So why did I take these out? So then I put the sex scenes back in because I was like, you know, God will let
Fresh
me
as
know if he
fuck.
got a problem.
I'm
Right.
gonna say that's how we got here.
God will let me know if he got a problem. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's capable, of that. And so I put it all back and I wrote it the way that it was intended to be put down. And I didn't really really think that it was going to become a career for me. Like I said, it was just something that I was doing so that I wouldn't, lose my mind.
That's right.
And by let's see, I had Zoe in October 2012, and I published that project in November 2013. And I, like those first couple of months, like I may have had maybe 20 people download the book. I put it up at 99 cents. I may have had 20 people download the book. And then I managed to find like other groups of Black indie authors and stuff like that. I managed to find who I needed to be, I guess, kind of advertising to, and my mommy blogging peers would share the book for me, different things like that. Because for a while I didn't really say too much about it, just because I didn't really. And this is probably telling on myself a little too much, but this is actually something that I've talked about with my therapist. The fact that I didn't take it seriously in the first place, it kind of makes it hard for me to take myself too seriously with it even now. Because it was never like I never set out like I'm going to be a writer, as a career. Like that was never the intention. I was honestly just doing something, and it happened to work out in my favor. But yeah, I guess that's my very
Favor ain't
long-winded.
fair.
But
I guess that's my
also,
very
how
long-winded
many
origin
books
story.
have you written? That's not long written at all. How many books have you written?
At this point, 58. My next release will be number 59.
Man. Okay.
And they're not shit. Like some
Not only
people
are they
put
not
out,
shit, they're great.
yeah, like some people put out 6 and they're trash. And you're putting out like good ass work. I don't want to, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around, but
I
this
just
is
want you to
wild.
understand that writing makes you a writer. No matter how you came to it, no matter, what brought you there, what you were feeling, how seriously you took yourself then, you are doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Very
And I
well.
have to kind of, I mean, it's not necessarily that I downplay it, but I do downplay it. Like I get very embarrassed by compliments, like by direct compliments. Like if I run across you talking about me on Twitter, like, man, CJ writes dope books. I mean, hey, yeah, I do. But like someone saying that to me, I'm like, oh, thank you. Please stop.
Well, prepare to be uncomfortable because we love your writing.
I'm about to
I'm
say,
already.
your books are amazing. When I started Bittersweet, which we're going to talk about later, I couldn't wait to finish it because I was so excited. But then I was sad because I didn't want to be done and leave the characters. We
Yeah.
gonna say a whole bunch of stuff. Your dialogue is amazing. I think that's the next thing I'm gonna talk to you
Oh my
about.
gosh, yeah.
Like
Like
everything just
I
rings
could I
super
could
true.
hear myself saying it. I could
Yes,
see a man saying it to me.
because
It's
a lot
written
of
like I
times that
was,
shit is clunky.
yeah, it was written like I'm like my girlfriend's telling me a story. I could see you, yeah.
And
You
those
do a great job.
the dialogue compliments, that's something that I really hold like really really dear to my heart, because that's something that's so important to me. Like it's something that I have actually been like criticized about before, and even a little like kind of earlier on. Like you can't, like there was kind of this idea that in order to be taken seriously your characters had to talk a certain way, especially when you're comparing like maybe an indie to traditionally published work. Well, you're not supposed to uphold any stereotypes, and if they're educated they should talk like this, and just
Oh
a whole
God,
lot of,
respectability.
yeah, yeah, basically a whole lot of that. And I was like, I'm grown. I'm gonna do what I want to do,
Yes.
when it comes to the characters. And so when people compliment me on that, about just the relatability and stuff of the dialogue and how it feels real, it's because it is real to me. Like these are conversations that I would absolutely have with my friends. Like this is how I talk to my friends in real life, and the people who I only know through the internet, whatever. This is like Like, it's just what I see. It's just what comes natural to me. And I feel like that has to have a place in our literature instead of trying to quote unquote clean it up to be palatable for the masses or palatable for mainstream sensibilities. Like, it can't be about that. If I'm going to say that my work is for Black women, then I have to meet
Right.
like I have to meet that, and I have to, I have to I can't figure out how to phrase what I'm trying to
You have to do
say.
exactly what you're doing. I mean, honestly, from the first page of this book, I was like, oh, this is for me.
I felt like you were right. Your writing made me feel like, oh, Christina's a homie. We don't get together for
Yes,
drinks. Like it felt very familiar in a very good way, not like a patronizing. Like we can tell this is
exactly.
how you talk. This
This
is
is
how
how
your
you
characters.
people over there talk. Let's do this now.
Yeah.
No, it was very much like this is us. Is it like, I was going to ask, what's your secret? Is it like, do you hear the words in your head? Like, what, how does it come to you?
Like, it comes to me kind of, and I hope this doesn't sound too
Girl,
like
just
hocus
say it.
pocus, but it comes to me in scenes in my head. Like, I'll hear certain snippets of dialogue, and sometimes when I'm lucky, it happens while I'm actively at the computer. Other times I think, oh, I don't have to write that down right now. I'll remember it, and then I definitely do
It's
not
gone. Yeah.
remember it. But yeah, like, I'll sit and I'll stop and just think and just kind of like, I'll go back and reread what I've already written, like just like a couple of paragraphs or something of what I've already written, just so that I'm kind of in that moment with the characters to let it play through and let it play out in a way that a natural conversation would. And like, I write in first person, like pretty much out of 58 books, 55 of those are in first person. I only have 3 books that are in third person. And so I think that when you're in the character's head, sometimes that can, you tend to kind of over explain because you're in that character's head. And so there's things that you're you're trying to, I guess, mimic someone's normal thought process, but our thought processes travel so fast that sometimes it can feel a little overdone, or it can feel clunky to do all of the explaining about the feelings and all of that. And so that part is a lot more difficult for me than the dialogue part, because the dialogue part, like, I can hear that. It's the outward dialogue, it's the inner dialogue that I don't even want to say I have trouble with it. I just have to make sure to temper myself, because I'll get in a mode where I want to, well, let me make sure the reader knows exactly what I'm trying to say right here. And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. Leave it up to them to feel how they feel about it. They may not even agree with the main character or whatever. Just leave it up. Just tell it the way that it's coming to you and let everything else go.
So, what pushes you to write?
Trying to not have to contact my therapist for emergency sessions. And it's funny, but I promise, like, I'm really not trying to be funny, but they're really, like, there's always new characters popping up in my head, especially like when I'm actively, like, when I commit to somebody. And I feel like that's kind of like real life. Like, now I'm committed to somebody, and now here you come. Where were you when I didn't have anything going on? Like, get some business. But yeah, just wanting to get the stories out wanting to get the stories out onto the page. And then also just a commitment to my readers, like, because I have people who, after I write, like, I'll say, like, for example, Brittany from Bittersweet, she was mentioned in Bittersweet. She is the neighbor. She's the one who owns the bike shop, and she has a skin disorder. And I had a reader reach out to me after she read that. She had the same, she has that same skin disorder, and I hate to use the word grateful, because it's not like it's not like I want to be thanked for it. I just want people to feel seen. Like I just want Black women to feel seen, like in a lot of different facets. Like even when we're, we're a little chunky, even when we, don't have it all together, or we're dealing with mental health issues or physical health issues, whatever. I just want to do my part, as much as I can, because I feel like now, like there are a lot more options, a lot more places for people to go for Black romance. We've seen an influx of more and more people picking up the pen and deciding that they're going to publish. But at the time that I started, there weren't a lot of us. Like you had, Eric Jerome Dickey, and, he was still putting out books. Terry McMillan, I don't think she had put out anything for a while at that time, but she's still writing, but her books
She took a long break.
Yeah. And even now, like her books, it's a year or so between, like that's traditional publishing. That's kind of standard. And so it's kind of like, once you've read all of that, where do you go? Like if it's not available to you. And, traditional publishing, like a lot of what was available in Black romance there, like don't get me wrong, it was fine. Like I devoured a lot of it, but I did not feel like I didn't really feel seen. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't really feel seen there. And I felt like if I don't, there's probably a lot of women like me who also don't feel that as well. And so I just want to do my part to contribute to that, because I remember being that little girl who's too young to be reading that stuff. And once I had read all of it, what was left? What was left? What's next? And so I just do my part to contribute to the oversaturation, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's oversaturated, because you found your tribe, and we follow you, and we love it. You've written several series, and I think you kind of touched on this, where you want to keep going with some of your characters. But what draws you to creating a series as opposed to just standalone titles?
So pretty much I won't say every, but the only series that were ever, like when I first started writing the first book, I knew it was going to be a series. The Wright brothers was like the first one of those. And then from there, I had the Love Sisters and then the Clark brothers. But anything before that, other than the romantic suspense series, which is the only thing I was saying is in third person, I would write a book that I intended to be a standalone. Like I never had any intention of revisiting anybody or talking about anybody's cousin or best friend or whatever. It just kind of happened like that. Like these characters, like they present themselves in another couple's book. And then it's kind of like, well, now they won't leave me alone. And I have to, I have to kind of keep going with it. Like most notably, or I guess one of my more popular series is the Serendipitous Love series. Like I never intended to write a 6-book series. Like that was never, ever in my plans for that. But it's like, as I wrote each book, new characters kind of introduced themselves. And it wasn't necessarily always that was somebody's friend or something like that, but more like they would introduce themselves as the couple, and the setting, their story just lent itself to that same setting. And so it's like, okay, well, we'll wrap this into this same series. And now that we wrap this into this same series, what connections would they have with the people who are already established? Like, would they go to, there's a flower shop that's introduced in A Crazy Little Thing Called Love and Urban Grind, which is that freaking coffee shop is in pretty much everything that I do now. But it's like, okay, yeah, they would, if they're sending a gift, they're going to go to Posh Petals for that. If they want to stop for coffee before work, they're probably going to go to Urban Grind for that. And then from there, just by visiting those places, the people that they would see on a regular basis and the connections that they would forge with those people, and then just kind of on and on from there. And that kind of lent itself to creating series. But
you created a whole community.
I know.
I did.
I just saw like a community being built around.
I want to get an illustrator one day to draw it for me, but I have to remember where everything is because
Because your readers will remind you, no,
right, like
Hush
and
Petals is not there.
right, like in later books, I kind of was a little more vague about where exactly in the neighborhood things were, so that I wouldn't have to like, wait a minute, how's she already over here? And I thought that was 2 blocks away. Like I kind of got a little wiser about it later on, but I feel like that would be a really cool project, and I want something like that, like to go on my wall or something like that to just really kind of, I guess, commemorate it, because it's another one of those things that never was really just intended to be. It just kind of happened, and I've accidented my way into like a whole
A whole
thing.
career.
No such thing as an accident. That ain't
Hey,
nothing but God.
I'll take it. I would absolutely.
Word. So, speaking of compliments, another thing that we love are your covers.
Yes.
What is it like? What are your ingredients for a successful cover? Like, how do you know that it's there, that it made the final cut, like that it qualifies to be one of your covers?
So the crazy thing is by the time I'll create a cover, and then by the time I actually show it to the public, like my friends will have to be, girl, if you don't stop freaking playing and post that cover, because I actually rarely, I don't want to say I don't like them anymore, because they'll still be perfectly fine as covers. But usually by the time I post the cover, I've started writing more and more in the story, and I might feel like, I kind of want to change this, or I want to change that, or just different little things, or I've picked it apart. I'm never satisfied.
So you design them all yourself?
Yes, that's what I was doing when I discovered, when I like really, really settled into, no, this teacher thing isn't going to happen. I was a graphic designer for like a long time.
Wow.
And I kind of developed those skills with building people's WordPress sites and stuff like that. And now I'm able to use that to, make the covers for myself, and make the covers and promos and different things for myself. But it's really just finding like the perfect cover image, which is really, really difficult. Like that's a really, really difficult thing, because you're depending a lot on stock photo sites that
And
don't
that's hard
really
for
have.
Black people.
Yeah. And it's not only is it hard to find those images, but it's like you're kind of quote unquote competing against the whole against the whole community, so that you're not using the same image that someone else already used, or if you are going to use that same image, transforming it into something different. What I really very much prefer is custom shoots, but that's not always necessarily feasible. And not even from a budget standpoint. I mean, it's not cheap, but like that's not the biggest barrier to me. The biggest barrier is like actually finding models and stuff that fit what the characters look like, are in the same location as your photographer, and it's just a lot, or can actually do it at the same schedule, coordinating and all of that. Those are the more difficult parts of it, but I really love being able to do custom shoots. Like for Deuces Wild, which is book 2 in my high stakes series, I was able to get a custom shoot for that one. And like all my custom shoots have been done by the same photographer, but that one, like Portia from Brownstock, I don't know if she's actively doing it right now, but I believe that she is trying to revamp it. But she actually started a stock site for other Black couples and stuff like that. But she really put her foot in that Deuces Wild shoot. Like I want to go post some of the images from it right now, like just when I think about it. But I really do like being able to have just a perfect image that really just really speaks to who the characters are, or some certain theme from the book, and really being able to just kind of sit for hours and play with colors and textures and fonts and all of that to kind of create something that I feel like really puts forth, that really well represents what's inside that cover.
Is Deuces Wild your favorite of your covers?
It's not my favorite of my covers. It's not my favorite of my covers. Just because what happens to me is, for the first book in the series, you create a certain style that all the other covers have to adhere to. And so I had already created a certain style with an image that was not a stock image. And so I had to use a lot of textures and stuff to really even make that image work. But when it came to my cover for Deuces, I had to kind of replicate that style and everything. Which was like I don't want to. I feel like I'm wasting, not necessarily wasting these good images, but if Deuces had been first and I'd had that custom shoot first, those covers would probably look a little different. My favorite,
That was my next question.
I think I would have to maybe like pick one from each year or something like that. Like that's
It's like choosing a kid.
Yeah, because it's like when I think of my covers, and I think of the one that makes me want to smile the most will probably be the Love Sisters covers, just because they're so bright and colorful, and it's just got all these gorgeous Black people on the covers, and I was able to find multiple images of all of those people, and so it was just a really good design experience for that series, and so that probably factors into it some.
Okay. Well, last week we read an excerpt from Bittersweet, and Anika and Royal are our faves now. But this is our first real dive into the trope of enemies as lovers. And so, which is weird because that trope comes up a lot. But my question to you is, have you ever switched it up with a nemesis?
I have not. And this is so funny because I was just thinking the other day, when I was in high school, I worked at a grocery store, and there was this boy, and I'm not gonna say his name, but honey, he drove me nuts. Like, he drove me nuts, and I was like, but I was very attracted to him. But he drove me nuts.
Of course you were.
And so I was like, I wonder now if that's why I write enemies to lovers so often, because I don't even like that trope. Like, as a reader, I don't really like the trope. I don't like when I think about it, I'm like, that's dumb. Like, how do you
No.
like, how do you want to sleep with somebody that you hate? Like that don't work. But it's the truth. And I end up writing it so much, even though I don't, like, on the surface I would say that I don't like the trope, but I end up writing it so much. But that is hilarious, because I was literally I can't even remember what I was doing that made me think about that. But it was like my first job, so I had to be like 16 years old or something like that. But yeah, that's the closest I've come to that. And I mean, with nothing ever actually ended up happening, but that's the closest I've come to something like that.
Well, it's obvious that you and 16-year-old Christina and Jerome Carter, I'm gonna give him a name, was not getting it on in the stock room at the grocery store. But what's your stance on getting it on at the workplace?
I am not completely against it. I feel like, as long as, nobody's going to end up hurt while you're neglecting your responsibilities to get some D or some P or whatever, whatever you're into, as long as, nobody, like a rock isn't going to fall off a cliff and hit somebody because you're not paying attention, I say, hey, go for it. As long, if it's between consenting adults and y'all are, being safe and all of that good stuff, Now, in real life, I don't know, but in books, I'm into it in books.
All righty.
So one thing that I really identified with was Anika's perfectionism. Like, when he posted that picture of himself.
Oh. And how you
Lord.
explained her thinking, like, oh my goodness, I had a plan for the Instagram feed. This is supposed to look like this. I started spiraling
Angry.
for her.
See? Don't like it.
Like, it made me so mad. Even writing it, I was like, oh my God. Like, I would.
And then the fact that everyone loved it, so you're like, now I got to
Yes.
figure out.
That just makes it even
how to
worse.
deal with it.
Because I can't
and
take
he's
it
so
down
smug
now.
and ooh, yeah. That really pissed me off.
Yeah.
But so I really relate to her being a perfectionist, and it's something I've been trying to work on myself about. But it made me think and wonder, which of your characters do you most identify with?
I actually don't know. I feel like that should be an easy question to answer, but
Not when you've written
Not
59
at
books.
yeah, I was supposed to say not
Yeah.
after 58 books. Like,
yeah, it's I don't know, and I feel so bad for not being able to answer it. But I'm thinking, no. I can say this. Karis from Equivalent Exchange. She is a character who, well, I guess I can say this because the book is out. But her initial connection to Lakin and her being a graphic designer and all of that. Initially, that was going to be like a second chance story where they had gotten together in college, but she was like the other, like quote unquote, the other woman, but not on purpose. He was an upperclassman, she was a freshman, and there was just like a lot of that dynamic there that kind of was drawn from real life.
You're like, how do I say this without saying too much?
Yeah. And so, like, from that standpoint, I would say that not necessarily that I relate to her. I mean, I guess I would say that, but she is the character that I would say I drew the most of my real life from.
so you have been writing a lot of holiday themed titles. Um, also, side note, Mary Dickmas, I hackled. I hackled when I read. I shouted. It was like the middle of the night. I was like, "Oh, Mama got jokes." So anyway, what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday. What is my favorite holiday? I feel like when I was growing up, it was Christmas. I just like, the lights and the decorations and all of that. And it was something that I really wanted to kind of replicate for my kids. But I don't know. Like, it's just, and I wonder if I need to ask my mom if they felt like that, as adults too, just kind of recreating that magic for the kids. But I feel like for real, my favorite, I would probably say Thanksgiving is probably my favorite. And it's not even really about the holiday itself. It's more about the food. I'm really big into cooking. I like cooking for people. I like baking for people and stuff like that. And so, like, pretty much always for Thanksgiving, like, I get an opportunity to do that. I actually didn't this past year. No, that's not true. My family went on a trip like the week before Thanksgiving, and we got back like that Wednesday, and everybody thought I was crazy because when we got back, even though it was like 12 hours worth of flights and stuff like that, I went to the grocery store and I went and got like a ham and I went and got the stuff to make my Thanksgiving meal. Like, I really like that. And I want to start creating just that kind of family vibe with cousins and stuff that I didn't really have growing up because most of my family lives in Chicago. But when we were like, I was born, but I was really, really small. Like, my immediate family moved to Arkansas. Like, we moved far away. And so we didn't like have cousins and stuff, but I don't really have any type of connection or anything to them. And I really want to change that for my kids. And I feel like Thanksgiving is kind of the holiday for that. Like, the weather's usually, you don't really have to worry too much about the weather, about it, it's ice all over the place, so you can't travel or anything like that. Like, that's just what Thanksgiving kind of feels like, the holiday to mold that out for me.
All right. So, as you mentioned earlier, we talked to your homegirl, Alexandra Warren. last season, and she is your co-creator for Girl Have You Read.
Girl, have you read?
Yes.
Sorry, I gotta say that every time.
So can you tell our listeners a bit about your mission with that project?
Okay, so at the time that I started writing, like I mentioned earlier, it felt like there were not a lot of romance authors, Black romance authors, who were writing about relationships between Black people, and just
Ooh,
having a
wait, that's
space.
the key part that you just
Yes,
snuck in there. I heard that.
yes.
Real loud.
But but I found us. I was able to find us. But on that same token, there weren't a lot of there was a lot of blogs and stuff promoting romance and all of that stuff. But a lot of the blogs, even the ones who kind of had a focus on heroines of color, what I ended up seeing just a whole lot of was yes, it's a Black heroine, but it's a white man on the cover. And that's not what I wrote. That's not what I wrote. And that's not what a lot of my peers wrote either. And I knew that there were readers who wanted that, who wanted to read about Black people together with each other. It was what I wanted to read too. It was what I wrote and all of that. And so I was talking to Alex about this, and she already had a website. She had her bookworm lodge that she was already doing at the time. And through just the process of talking to her about it, we were like, all right, let's just do it, And so I built the website with that graphic design experience.
What don't you do?
But I built the website, and we've had some growing pains. We've had some growing pains. Like a lot of the people who really supported the idea, when it was initially presented, once they realized that we were serious about that between Black people thing, we actually kind of lost a lot of support. And so in the beginning, it was kind of a tough road to climb, but we're committed to it, and we've grown. We've done 3 events. This year was supposed to be year 4, but because of the Rona, we weren't able we weren't able to
left
do
and
it.
right there, Rona.
Yeah. But we get together and we have a good time. It's a room full of Black authors who support the mission and whose catalogs reflect the same thing. Not that everything that they write is necessarily Black romance, but we do only ask authors who I'm gonna find some Black people in in your catalog. Those are the authors that we invite, people who really seem to kind of get and understand the mission. And it's a room full of Black women, and sometimes Black men, and sometimes white women. We've had other races come along too, because they were interested in the mission or they supported the mission, whatever. But it's a really, really good time. It's a really, really good time. And we've had it's work. It's definitely work as well, but it's a mission that we're really committed to, and I have we've taken some lumps about it, just generally speaking, we've taken some lumps about it, but we stay focused on that mission because we both feel like it's really important to it's okay for us to have a focus, and it's okay for us to stick to that focus. And it's not about excluding anybody. It's about specificity. And, I feel like there's beauty in that.
That was super moving. I think, Erica and I have struggled sometimes when looking for books. We don't use books that have white men on the covers. We've never covered one, and we won't.
If you're an author that feels like you have to include white people on your cover to sell books, no matter how great the story is, I'm sorry, this ain't the show for you.
Yeah, and that's why there are some romance and erotica writers who are really big, but whose books they just don't work for us for that reason.
Yeah, they're just not our cup of tea.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate y'all for having a niche and
having a space for us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what it's about. I remember having people say, well, you get mad when white folks exclude y'all. Who get mad? Because I don't read. I don't
I'm
read
not
white
worried
people.
Be
about.
nowhere
Right.
I don't want to be invited to.
No,
But
thank
no.
you.
Like I want to read about black people, so I don't care if a white woman wants to read about white people. Sis, me too. I want to read about my own too. So like I don't
Exactly.
like it. Doesn't like.
And I don't want white people writing about black people.
Oh God, don't you give me started.
Lord.
You can tell the moment you start that it's white people writing about black people. The moment you start. So, well, um, we know a thing or two about running some shit with one of your friends. What's it
Hey,
like for you?
boo.
Hey, girl. As I fuss at your child. What's it like for you? How do y'all separate the friendship from the business, or do you?
I don't think we do. I don't think we do, but I think that we complement each other really, really well. Like Alex is like a very laid back personality. And I always think about how like at those very last minutes, like before the events, this is when it's highlighted the most to me. When I'm like freaking out and I'm like, go do this, go do that, like talking to our volunteers, not in an unkind way, like at all, because that's like
It needs
paramount to
that.
me.
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm screaming, but outwardly, I'm like, can you please go do this? But it's like, I'm freaking out, and Alex is calm. And it's not that she's not engaged, because she's engaged. She understands the need to get it done and let's get it moving. But she has, like, her energy is different. It's like, okay, we like, it's cool. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get it done. And if this little part over here don't get done, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna have a good time anyway. And she is a lot more organized than I am when it comes to like content type stuff. And so she's the one who actually, like, when people put in requests like to do spotlight posts and stuff like that, she's the one who does all of that, while I might be the one scheduling social media and make sure the website is up and running, and deciding on a whim to completely redesign the website and make a new logo and all of that. That's kind of, yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I do. And then like when we do have the events, I think like, because that's just my personality to like, have little cutesy this and that and plan parties and stuff. Like I haven't done it in a minute. Oh, no, that's not true. Just my baby had a birthday party in October, but like, I thrive on stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so I can take over, when it comes to stuff like that, where I don't think that part is necessarily like what she really wants to be doing. And so I think that we kind of complement each other really well. And any arguments and stuff that we've had, it's never been about the business stuff. It's always like, well, I can't even think of an example. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like we work really, really well together. And I think that it's because we have like, I don't think that I'm necessarily a high strung personality, but I do think that Alex is definitely more laid back than I am. And so I feel like we kind of balance each other really, really well.
And y'all play to y'all strengths, it sounds like.
Yes.
Yeah, I found that it works when we find our lanes and stick to our lanes. And I think part of the, because I have such a close relationship with Kenrya, I am totally and utterly comfortable. If she says she doing something,
yeah,
night, nigga, I ain't thinking about it until she show, just because, like
we trust each other to do what we say we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when you have a partner who you trust implicitly, shit just goes.
Yep.
And when your partner knows you, because like you said, like I could be running in circles and Kenrya's like, hey, boo,
just
look
relax.
at me. Look at me.
Yes, that's true. My next question, it could be a big one, but it's, what does success look like for you?
Another thing that my therapist hears about a lot.
Shout out to a good therapist.
Listen,
yes.
We talk about therapy on this show constantly. Like if there was the turn on bingo, that'd be like the fucking center square. Yeah. That and like pussy and nigga. Like
bam, bingo cards. Write that down right now.
But no, it's I feel like it's just because as I mentioned earlier, like it wasn't something that I necessarily set out to do, to have this career and stuff like that. Figuring out what success looks like has been really a struggle for me. And I honestly don't even fully have the answer to that question. Because I'm never, like going back to the cover thing, like I'm never sat when I was saying that I'm never really satisfied with the cover. I feel like that kind of applies to like career stuff too. Like, you know, everybody wants to, when you put out a book, you know, you want to get the quote unquote the ribbon in Black romance. It's like, okay, like I got the ribbon and I'm excited that I got it, but you know, I should have done better. Like it's always like, that's just kind of always in the back of my mind, like what I should have done better. Like this isn't like, that's not, you know, that's not anything to be impressed by. Do better, do better, do better, do better. It's like that's always in the back of my mind, but I don't even know what better looks like to me. And so it's pretty maddening. But I don't know. I just, what I want to see, and this is not even necessarily like for me, but what I want to see is indies get the same kind of ticker tape parade treatment that others get. And I feel like this may be controversial, but I feel like indies have really, really done a bulk of the work of rebuilding the black romance as a genre, even though, you know, there are people who would say, well, that's not actually a genre. I beg to differ and kiss my ass. Yes. Sorry, that's a sore spot for me. But I just really want to see, you know, I don't want to see an interracial romance or an interracial romance author get crowned queen of Black romance. Like, and that's not to take away from that success or whatever. Like, I'm excited for you. Like, I'm glad that, you know, you got your bestseller status or whatever it was. Like, that's not knocking them. It's knocking the community or, you know, the society that says that that's, you know, that's what the book has to be in order for us to give this certain accolade. Or, you know, because it's not Trad Pub, well, maybe she just couldn't make it in Trad Pub. Ain't nobody trying to do shit in Trad Pub. like my grass is very green, you know, over here. But at the same time, it's just, it's frustrating to have, you know, myself, yes, and my peers putting in so much work and like really writing, like just putting in really, really excellent work and writing the books that should be, you know, getting put on those lists and should be getting those accolades, and see us get ignored instead. And what kind of frustrates me more than anything is the lack of support from Black traditionally published authors. Y'all see us. Y'all see us, and you work in the publishing industry. You have a contract with the publishing industry. You know what it's like. I've seen y'all have these complaints, seen you talk about how racist it is, whatever. And so I would think that you would embrace the people who are trying to subvert that, you know, the people who, you know, said, no, you know what? No, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to get it on my own. You would think that the successes that we've had would be celebrated, but instead it's just steadily, you know, it's steadily looked down on, and it's just frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. But I've actually tweet ranted about this recently, but you know, I don't lack anything that I need. My Black women readers have been like, I really can't even talk about, like, I really can't even put into words how awesome they've been in supporting me, supporting my work, you know, checking out, you know, giving other indies a chance. Because when we first started, like, you know, me, Love Belvin, I'll say Nia Forrester, I'm trying to think of who else, Tay Russ, who we all kind of published around the same time. And it was hard to get people to buy into it. Like, it was hard to get people to pick us up and hard to get people to take us seriously, but we had those dedicated readers who did, and who put us in their friends' hands and said, hey, you should really read this, you should really check it out. And then those friends told those friends, and those friends told those friends, and now, here we are. And so it's not that I lack for anything, and it's not that I'm bitter. I'm just I'm exhausted, and I'm like, like, damn, y'all, we can't get no love.
So I have a follow up. What would that support ideally look like from folks who are, doing Trap Hub?
It would look like, when these lists are made from, the more mainstream outlets, Book Riot and whoever else, when those people reach out to you for their articles about the state of romance and this and that, say, hey, yeah, I can give you a quote for your article, but, reach out to Alexandra Warren too. Reach out to Nicole Falls too. Like, because we're here and we're making strides and we're bringing people back to this genre, and our voices should be represented there too. It's not just about, retweets, and it's definitely not about y'all buying the work, because I don't care about other authors reading my work. I want readers to read my work. It's not about that. It's about treating us like we're part of a community, instead of like we're not good enough to be mentioned in the same article with you.
Christina, what are you reading now?
I am not reading anything right now. I have a really hard time reading while I'm actively writing. And then the fact that I'm honestly not actively writing, just, first it was coronavirus, and then it was the protests and all of that. It's just a lot going on. And so I really haven't been actively writing, but I can tell you the last thing I read. That's actually not true. My friend, I have a friend who is starting to publish, Layla Hart. She's my friend in real life, like our kids play together type of friend. And so that was the last thing that I read. She wanted me to read and give her some feedback on that. And then before that, I read Alex Warren. Oops. I read Nicole Falls.
I haven't read it yet. The cover is so cute.
Thank you. I designed that cover.
I knew it. Okay. Listen, I was like, whoever designs her covers had to have done this cover. Because you got a signature style. That's crazy.
I do. I'm trying to let go of it. I can't.
No, I mean, it looks good.
Just so that it all doesn't end up like looking.
They don't all
exactly
look the same.
But they have a feel.
It's just a signature, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I had read that, and then, like I said, Nicole Falls released Intention, which I typically tend to stick to like certain faves, because early in my career, I had a weirdo bitch peer accuse me of copying. And so I just kind of got in my head, you know what? If I ain't read it, you can't accuse me of copying shit. I didn't even read it. And so I know, 6 or 7 years later, I understand that that's not healthy. That's not really the way to go. But I still have a hard time letting go of it. I still have a really hard time letting go of it. I have, picked up certain people like Honesty Price. She's been writing for maybe a year, but she recently released a short called Sloth that was phenomenal. I think it's available on Amazon. It might only be available like as a free read on her website, but I feel like she made it available on Amazon. But that was phenomenal. D Rose, what did I read from? I'm trying to remember the name of it. I want to say it was called Brown Sugar. Where you at? I can't find it. It's not coming up on my Kindle, but I recently read some D Rose. Like I do try to like branch out, so that because I co-run a whole website about this, I want to see what other people are doing. And those are just two that are really phenomenal. I can add a third, Bria Felician, who these are all young writers, and I don't mean young necessarily in age, just in that they haven't been writing for a really long time, but I really see like the most potential with these ladies. So if you're looking to check some new people out, like I can definitely like very highly recommend them. But I'm trying to kind of push myself out of my box of only reading people who I know love me, and they know that I'm not copying them because they hear me, in voice memos and wherever else. Like they literally hear every detail of whatever I'm writing. And so they already know, where all these little details coming from.
Alrighty. Well, we will make sure we include links to the books and authors you mentioned in the show notes so that we
Hey.
can share with our listeners. Okay, so as we wind it down, I have a question for you. Inspired by
Okay.
your book, the
Okay.
book that we read. Let me not say your book. The book that we read last week. Would you rather have to work on a project with your arch enemy that's like a month long project with your arch enemy, or have one night of sex with them, assuming you're not married? Like the not married Christina.
I think either way, I would rather work on the project,
Okay.
like personally, because I'm thinking like if they're my arch enemy, they're gonna do that. Like we're gonna do that, and then they're always gonna be able to like hold that over my head, even if I
You
don't think
count
they
on
would say
your
anything
nemesis
to
being
anybody.
petty.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like even if maybe they wouldn't say anything to anybody about it, but they would know and I would know, and
Yeah, I'm with you. No, thank you. I don't want you to have that.
right. I'll suffer through the project.
That's
Yeah.
real. So what's next for you?
In terms of my next release, what I am actively working on is a former assassin, a female former assassin who is retired. Basically, we'll call her retired.
Okay.
And the book is not like a thriller or anything like that. The book is straight up contemporary romance, but it's her kind of reacclimating and figuring out how to live a life that's her own and having her first real relationship, because she's pretended, she's acted as a spy and all these other things. And so she has kind of experience like from that standpoint, but it's never been anything that was like real. And so she's experiencing this for the first time and kind of finding new hobbies and all of that. And I feel like it doesn't sound that exciting when I say it. But honestly, it's not that exciting. It's a pretty quiet
it does.
book.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to spoil it. So
Yeah, I'm trying to be real careful. I'm trying to be real careful with what I say. But it's very it's been interesting to write. It's been interesting. I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm kind of at my quote unquote black moment. I don't really like do that type of outlining or anything when I write, but the couple, they broke up, and they have to get back together, and all they have to do all of that stuff, and that's the part that I'm at right now. So yeah, it's been exciting, and it's something that I don't feel like I've seen before, and I could be wrong because I told y'all earlier
I've
I
never
don't be
seen
reading.
a
So
black assassin spy woman before. So that's exciting to me.
well, her organization was actually induced this.
Oh, look at that.
So it's a little bit of a spinoff that will probably be a series. It will probably be a series. And I'm excited. I'm excited for what this could bring, because all of the books, if it does become a series, all of the books will be very different. Like this one is not a thriller, but one of the other ones that I'm kind of conceptualizing, that one might be a thriller. And so it's exciting to think about, but I have to actually execute before I can do any of that other stuff.
You got this.
Yes,
So-
you do.
Our final question is, where can people find you?
I am all over the place at Being Mrs. Jones, which is a holdover from when I was a mommy blogger. That was my website. That's why my website is still Being Mrs. Jones, and I'm on, like, that's my website, beingmrsjones.com, and then I'm on Twitter at the same handle, Instagram at the same handle, Facebook, like my Facebook page is the same handle. I want to say my YouTube is the same handle as well. I think I just kind of kept it consistent so that it was, so there's the same thing all across the board.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, that's it for this week's episode of The Turn On. Thank you so much for joining us, Christina.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Yay. And thanks to everyone who's listening. We'll see y'all next week. This episode was produced by us, Kenrya and Erica, and edited by Ballistic. The theme song is from Brazy. We want to hear from y'all. Send recommendations for books you want us to read on the show and all the questions that you want us to answer related to sex and all the other stuff. You can send those to theturnonpodcast@gmail.com. And please take a moment to review the show, 5 stars only please, and subscribe to us in your favorite podcast app. Then follow us on Twitter at The Turn On Pod and Instagram at The Turn On Podcast, and head over to theturnonpodcast.com to find links to the books that we feature, transcripts of our shows, and info on all the guests that we talk about. Bye!